Look, lads, I think we've all been there in our lives where we've had that one a-hole boss. We've all had one, at least in our lives, right? But when it comes to Christian Horner, the Red Bull team boss, if there was an Olympics for a-hole bosses, I think I'd give it the top step of the podium to Christian. Gold medal in one hand with the a-hole champagne bottle in the other. It's the constant nagging, going on TV complaining about his drivers. Then on the other hand, I think he's actually a brilliant team boss. If you're on the right side of Christian Horner, this guy gets right behind you. He's supporting you the whole way down the tunnel, lads. He will be there until the end for you. So it can go in your favor or it can go against you. But here's a podcast when he's talking about Ricciardo now leaving the Red Bull team number 2 and why he's being a hypocrite.
Everything you've just said, you've been quite hard on Daniel. You've been quite ruthless. The chatter around the Spanish Grand Prix time, where we are today. Why have you been so ruthless with him, but not Checo? And let's face it, it's Red Bull Racing, isn't it, that's fighting for the big honours?
Well, I've done my very best to buy him as much time in the car to allow him to deliver. So otherwise he would have been out of the car after Barcelona. And I think that all the drivers are under pressure to deliver. But the reason that Daniel was in that car was to get himself back into a position to ultimately be there to pick up the pieces if Checo didn't deliver it. And the problem was they both had issues with form at varying times. Checo started the season very well, very strongly, and Daniel was struggling. And then obviously as Checo lost form, Daniel found a bit of form, but it was never compelling enough to say, okay, we should switch the two drivers.
I'm sure most of you lads are up to speed with Formula One, but if you're not, let's just very quickly go through the background here. Okay, so we've got 6 races to go here in the 2024 season. Daniel Ricciardo has been fired, booted out of the Red Bull number 2 team. With 6 races to go, Liam Lawson's now coming in. But even in this podcast here, the guy's asking, the journalist, he's saying, why are you been so ruthless with Ricciardo and booting him out? But you didn't do that with Sergio Perez. Now, if many of you may or may not know, there's Max Verstappen and Sergio Perez in the Red Bull team number 1. Then in the Red Bull team number 2, you had Tsunoda and Ricciardo. Now Ricciardo's gone, and Liam Lawson is in. Now, they've been talking about this, about Sergio Perez. He's not performing, he's under-delivering. He needs to step up and save the day here for Red Bull. People have been discussing that for well over 10 races now, 11 races in this year 2024. And they never got rid of him. Journalists were going on asking, putting pressure on Christian Horner and Helmut Marko saying, guys, is he going to deliver? Is he going to step up to the plate? What's going on? Have you been talking to him? Have you been poking him in the sides? What is he going to deliver for you? And they're saying, oh, we're looking into this and he's not happy with that and he's lacking confidence. He's doing this, he's doing that, blah, 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 blah. But yet, they didn't get rid of Sergio Perez. Now, we're going to come back to Ricciardo in just one moment, because give me some rope on this one, lads. I have a little bit of rope on this one, and a couple of good points. Now, Christian Horner is quite ruthless. And in many ways, you really need to be a ruthless team boss. Now, at the same time, let's go through this. So Daniel Ricciardo is gone, because he's, according to Horner, he's not bringing the goods. He's not bringing the food to the table here. All right? That's why drivers are let go. He's not bringing in the results. So then we look at Perez. He's still in the car in 2024. Has not delivered since the first, 4 races of the year. And he's still not delivering. He's had 1 or 2 little flashes of improvements, but nowhere. But they didn't get rid of him. Then, this also happened in the year 2023, lads, with Perez. First couple of races in 2023, really good, won a couple of races, and then nowhere again. So this is like a repeat all over again in the last 2 years. Then, if you look back on Netflix, lads, and this only happened just a few years ago, this is what really now is the chink in the armor here. If you remember, it was Max Verstappen and Pierre Gasly in the Red Bull team. Gasly gets booted out of that team halfway through the season, and they bring in Alex Albon to replace Gasly. Gasly gets knocked back to Red Bull team number 2. Now, why do they do that? Now, according to Red Bull at the time, he wasn't bringing in the results, and that's why they got rid of him. Out you go. Good luck. Now, I've said this all the way through this year already. It's not about that, guys. This is about money, investment. Sergio Perez is bringing food to the table. He's bringing sponsorship money. And to a degree, you can't blame the teams because they need to keep the teams going, pay wages, pay the bills, keep the lights on in the factory as they're traveling all around the world. It's a business at the end of the day. They need the money in. Now, they don't tell you this information, but this is happening in the background. Now, this is the only thing that makes sense, because here we go again. They don't get rid of, they get rid of Pierre, get confused. They get rid of Pierre Gasly because he's not bringing the results. Okay, they're ruthless. Right. Sergio Perez in the seat. He's not performing for 2 years in a row. 2 years, yeah. And he's not got booted out of the team. Huh. That doesn't add up. And it's the same team owners, same bosses, everyone. Every employee, employer is the same. And let's look at Ricciardo. Gets booted out of the team in Red Bull 2. Liam Lawson's in. Now, do we think that there's a possibility that Liam Lawson, and we're coming up to right now, present day, do we think that there's a chance that Liam Lawson is bringing in sponsorship, investment money? Ricciardo's quite a decent driver. But if you look at the stats here, I mean, I'm going with the actual facts of the case. Over the last few years, the way drivers get fired, rehired into the second team, they get booted out. No, they're not. Yes, they are. No, they're not. It's up and down, musical chairs here going on. So what's really going on? You know, for anybody that maybe doubts it. Now, I love Formula One. It's a great series. But what really kind of annoys me, lads, I have to say, and this is the key. Christian Horner comes onto TV and washes his dirty underwear in public. If you're not happy with one of your your drivers, you know what you do? You show some integrity in class. You go into behind the scenes with your drivers, engineers, mechanics, or whoever you're having a problem with no cameras around, and you say, hey, Daniel, Sergio, Pierre Gasly, listen boys, you're not performing here. We need you to start bucking up here, man. Step up to the plate. Otherwise, look, you know this, man. We won't be able to hold on to you. All right? And you do it behind closed doors. No cameras around. And then you move on. Then if you want to give him the boot, then you give him the boot. But my point is, lads, to go on TV, even there, Christian Horner now in that podcast a second ago, even Horner is now still saying that, oh, well, if Perez is, if he wasn't performing, Ricciardo was going to jump in. I mean, like, what's going on here? There's no need to be this much of an a-hole. This is my whole point. I mean, can you imagine if you had a girlfriend or boyfriend? Now, I know it's a weird comparison, but it's kind of like the same thing here, where your boyfriend or girlfriend's going on national TV to say, well, hey, if Peter doesn't step up and be a good boyfriend, well, John's over here in the corner, and John's a nice guy. You never know. John and me could make something work. Now, I know it's a different scenario, career, but business. But you know what, guys? It's still the same type of thing, too. Don't be announcing this in public. Keep it under wraps. I mean, Sergio Perez has probably seen this podcast that we're listening to already, right? Or if not, maybe his family member or his best buddy has heard this and they've texted him, hey, Sergio, did you hear what Christian Horner is saying about you again? This doesn't cause a good environment in the team. This causes insecurity. And yeah, and believe me, I know this from racing cars. There's enough insecurity in a driver because we know we have to deliver to the table. We know we have to get on the top step of the podium, or at very least be on the podium, second or third position. And if you're not, things aren't looking good. You've got to perform. You've got to be at your very best. We don't need the a-hole team boss going on public radio and TV announcing it to the world that these guys might be getting the boot in a minute, because the drivers know already. We all know. This isn't something that really? And number two, you could just tell the drivers if they didn't know. Anyway, my point is, guys, I'm sure people can relate to this, where we've all had that a-hole boss, you know. It's not good. It's not professional. I hope it doesn't happen to you out there. Or hey, look, maybe there's a lesson for everybody out here. If you are a boss, that you're running your own company, don't be an a-hole to your employers. Treat them with respect. Don't go around bitching and moaning, even to the public. Don't be going around bitching and moaning about that person. Word gets back. It doesn't give them a comfortable feeling. If they don't deliver the results, well then instantly, they're gone. Good luck. Bye-bye. Give them a warning. Hey, Peter, you don't bring in the results, you're gone. I hope you know what I mean, guys. It's just, it's sad to see. It really is. You know, and Red Bull, an incredibly impressive team. They have an unbelievable record with Vettel with 4 World Championships already. Verstappen is looking very good for a 4th World Championship now. So if they do, that's 8 Drivers' Championships. An amazing team. They really are. But Christian Horner can lay off being the a-hole. There's no need for it. Anyway, enough said for today, guys.
Walsh running the Irish green, and look at the move he's making down to the inside.
Moves to the front from 5th all the way to the lead in lap 1.
Walsh takes win number 2.
Peter. Wow.